So I was at Being Social event this week, which is an event my friend puts on every year this time of year. And if you haven't gone, I highly recommend you go. There's really good speakers. They give you a lot of information on how to do social better. How to get fixed ops involved in social was a big focus. What do you do? This was a big question. What do you do when you don't have the buy-in of the people at the store that social media sells cars? You have to get top-down buy-in. And there was a good mix of people there. There was general managers, there was DPs, there was BDC directors, there was marketing managers. Fixed ops was well represented there. There was a very large dealer group out there in the Midwest. There's a very large dealer group represented there. There were several other from around the country that flew in specifically for this conference. John Resurrection was there. Ryan from Lightflow. There was I met a really great guy, Tyler from Greenline Digital. I had some really good conversations while I was there. And one thing that struck me is that, and I didn't ask this either myself because I was thinking about this on the way home. If the issue is I can't prove to my general manager, dealer principal, my owner, whatever, that social media does work and I have to justify my job, well, why don't you give him an opportunity to prove you wrong? So if he hasn't been participating in social media, I mean, hear me out. I know this kind of seems like it's working into the antithesis into what we want to do, but if he thinks it's not working, well, you haven't been participating in that, Mr. General Manager, Mr. Dealer Principal. So why don't we do this? Why don't you prove to me that it really doesn't work by participating in it? Why don't you shoot a couple of videos with me? Let's talk about our role in the community. Let's talk about the dealership history. Let's talk about some things that are important to you aside from the dealership, or how you got into this business, or, and AI was part of the conversation, like every other digital meeting too, as part of our conversation at this meeting. You can use AI to come up with 100 different ideas. But what I'm getting at is having him shoot, or her shoot videos, then it becomes a domino effect. So they shoot videos, we get them online, they start getting interactions, they start getting, people reacting to them, and people interacting with them, people engaging with, which we know they will if they have good content. And then all of a sudden, the salespeople, the desk managers, the GSM, the closers, the service direct, those people want to get involved. This is my theory. Because they're seeing that the owner of this place is doing social media videos, so I need to do social media videos as well. But I really think by pushing them and saying, well, we haven't been utilizing your voice in our social media, so let's utilize your voice and let's really test that theory. If you don't think it works, then let's test that theory. Because at that point, I mean, they don't have anything to lose. We know it's going to work, so we don't have anything to lose. Really, honestly, I know I'm hearing, but I'm putting my job on the line. I'm telling you right now, it's going to work. You're going to draw engagement. You're going to draw eyeballs by doing this. There's no way it's not going to work. It's definitely going to draw interest. It's going to draw eyeballs. Again, go to ChatGPT, find compelling ideas for them doing videos. I gave you a couple. And I've given tons of ideas for videos throughout my series. But how did they start in the business? That's a great one right there. You don't need to make it 30 minutes long. You need to make it like 3 minutes long at the most. Then you need to cut it into a reel so you can do a YouTube short, an Instagram reel, those kinds of things. So, and on LinkedIn too, now you can do videos as well. So I think that's a good place to start. Another good thing that was brought up is using platforms where they're intended to be used. So a lot of people post their social media type videos. They'll post them on Meta, of course, and then TikTok and YouTube. But rarely do I ever see like the salesman on LinkedIn. And that's a good point. I don't see a whole lot of salesmen touting car sales or doing, the current trend or whatever on LinkedIn. But I think there's a missed market there, because if you were going to go after, if you happen to work at a Genesis, at a BMW, at a Mercedes, at a Lexus, at a Highline store, exotic pre-owned, Porsche, something like that, I would be on LinkedIn and I would be posting content directed at doctors and lawyers and, high ticket, high income earners that drive those cars. Those are the ones that are looking at those cars. So let's speak about something that actually speaks to them when they're buying the car, when they're looking at those cars. So you might not want to do like a current trend video. You might want to do like what to do when your vehicle is up for lease. Here's what to do at 6 months, at 4 months, at 90 days, at 60 days, at 30 days. Here's all the different things you can do at those different lease endpoints to ensure that your vehicle, when you trade it in, that you don't have any charges coming back to you. So, or reduce the charges that will be coming back to you. So I really think that the content that was at this conference, I feel like it really drove that point home of, it's not about quantity. You can use AI as your assistant, not as the driver of your content, but as the assistant to create your content. Don't forget about fixed stops, which everybody seems to forget about all the time. Like, we don't do anything with fixed stops. I definitely think that's an underserved part of the house with regards to social media posting. And it used to be like nobody in the dealership would post. Now I'm seeing dealerships all over the place post content, which is great, but not a whole lot of fixed ops departments are posting content. Like, the most fixed ops content that I see is the customer states videos. So like the customer states blue light is on dashboard and he literally turns the brights off and the blue light goes away. So just silly stuff like that. That's the most I see from fixed ops content. So you could do a series of videos on people who want to change their own oil, who want to check their cabin air filters, who, some simple how to tell how to tell where to stop filling up your windshield wiper fluid. So just simple stuff like that. The tread wear test on your tires, the difference between an alternator being out and a battery being dead. You can do videos like that, and you can actually get some good traction by positioning yourself as a subject matter expert on taking care of your own car, knowing when to come in for service. Most of the time, most of the people tell us our car is, like, my car tells me what my oil life is. It tells me what my tire pressure is. My car pretty much tells me when it needs help and when it doesn't. But not everybody's car does that. And even the cars that do that, we still need to be cognizant, and because there is such a thing as a failure of the mechanics of it, a failure in the process. Anyway, but there's simple service videos you can do. I had a store that did a time-lapse video on one bay in their service drive that did lift kits all day. And I think he did 3 or 4 lift kits this one particular day. I don't remember how much. It might have been less, might have been 2. Anyway, but the whole day, and you got to watch it in like, I think it was like 15 minutes or 20 minutes or something. You watched his whole day in the bay with putting the lift kit in, putting the tires back on, taking the tires off, putting it up on the rack, getting off the rack, things like that. And it had thousands and thousands of views. There's a guy who has a huge wrench that magnetizes his microphone to the wrench and goes around and interviews people, and how long have they been here, what kind of training they have, things like that. I think the overarching theme for posting on social media is you shouldn't be looking at social media as an immediate ROI builder, because that's not what it does. You can't point right to your social media and say that's going to earn me a sale. That's not what it's there to do. It's there to build trust between your clientele, your consumer, your shoppers, your buyers, and your business. That's what social media is built for. That's what social media should be doing for you. And if you go into it with that in mind, like I'm using this tool to build trust with my customer base, you'll be able to develop, and again, using ChatGPT as your co-pilot, you can actually develop better content that way. So putting in a prompt, develop me a post that talks about the importance of oil changes, write me a script for a video that talks about the importance of making sure your tread wear depth is of efficient size, things like that. Making sure your prompt is wrapped around building trust with your business and your clients in the community, and you're going to get a lot better content. You're going to get a lot of higher quality content, and higher quality content means you're establishing yourself as the subject matter expert. And people like to go to people who know how to do stuff, so establish yourself as a subject matter expert, and that's who they're coming to buy a car. That's all I got for this week. Happy selling.